These two women were looking at some craftsman's work, and they said, "My, what beautiful stuff. Have you ever seen so much beautiful stuff in your life?" And the other one was equally impressed. She says, "No, I've never seen anything this nice." Where do you suppose that the work is so intricate? Where do you suppose they get the time to do all this? And the other one turns to her and she says, "Well, you know they don't work."
This is setup time at Images, one of a series of winter art fairs in Florida. Artists and craftspeople travel these fairs to sell and for prize money. They come to work. Work on Images begins long before the artists arrive for the weekend. This is Martha Grimes, head of the Images Art Fair Committee.
We have 238 spaces we can accommodate, and this year we had over 600 applicants. So we were able to really get the best of what was available. We have the 9,000 artists on our mailing list that we send an application to. They send back with their application 3 slides showing the best of their work, hopefully. Then we hire 2 judges to screen this, to look at the slides, and then to pick out, they grade each artist as it goes through the projector on a scale of 1 to 5. Then we tally these scores, and the artists who have the highest scores are invited to come.
We're just now getting good enough to get in this show. To get in this show, you have to be pretty good, and she's a photographer. She does most of it, and this is the first time she's been able to get in.
I guess it's the 3rd year I've applied. This is the first time I've gotten in. I've heard from word of mouth from other craftsmen that it's a quality show. A lot of good quality craftsmen would be here, so that means that the crowd that comes would be expecting quality crafts to be here, so that way you wouldn't probably scare them away if you had something which had a high ticket on it.
There are art shows just about every weekend in Florida, somewhere. Several of the artists here have come from the Coconut Grove show down in Miami. One boy who's setting up over here said he did Coconut Grove, Boca Raton. They're all south of us, and he's working his way north.
But there's Coconut Grove, there's Images, this one, there's Gasparilla in Tampa next week, Winter Park, Main Sale in St. Pete. And they all offer like big prize money, which is, I shouldn't say that, but that's the main reason I enter them, is the big prize money. And
if I get an award, it'll be worth it. Even if I don't get an award, this is what I do, so, you know. Met a lot of nice people.
You got to come out here with a real open mind. You got to come out here and not expect anything. If you sell, you sell, and if you don't sell, you still have to, you know, be content with just doing the show, walking around, maybe going fishing. I bring my fishing poles and stuff like that. You know, you can't, if you take it too serious, a lot of people are first timers, and they just get out of art school and they come out, do a show. The public does not like their stuff or totally ignores their stuff, and they go home heartbroken, and it's awful to see. Instead, you can't take it too serious. Just that you got to have a good time doing it, and don't take it too serious, and just kind of smell the flowers, that thing, along the way, kind of thing. Instead of, like, you know, art is not everything. You know? It's what I do for a living, but it's not everything.
Sal is an art fair veteran, but Patricia Way is not.
And this is the first time I've ever done a show like this. It's like one of my friends said, come, you know, try it. So I said, okay. Like a lot of things I enter are like more print competitions that you send away. And like it'll be like at Bradley, like they have a big print competition thing. And I've done more like that because I'm not real good at standing out and going, this is what my stuff is. Like I was telling him, it's like looking at my work up is a whole nother scenario than when I'm working on it. Like, you know, it's part of me when I'm working on it. When I put it up, it's not mine anymore. It's weird.
During the first day, the judges make their selections for the final judging. This is Judge John Neff, art advisor for the First National Bank of Chicago.
when I'm in a show and there's judging, I always set the display up, you know, as nice as I can so that I can present the work. But I've won several awards in the past, not to say I'm jaded, but I don't get as nervous as I used to about it. You know, I used to really get upset about it. I like to meet and talk to the judges. It's really nice when they introduce themselves and I can say, hi, how are you?
I mean, I'm trained as an art historian, and I have a PhD in art history, and I have specialized more and more in the 20th century and now more and more in contemporary. And because I'm director of a contemporary museum, I like to look at everything that's being done. And I think, in fairness to the good work, you have to look at everything, because the more bad work you see, and you see mostly bad work in any situation, whether it's galleries or art fairs or whatever, that just reaffirms that there are people who are head and shoulder above the others. And it's a continual testing of what you think is good and what your assumptions are. There's a lot of hybrid work here. And you see things that they may be done in textiles, but they're really based on paintings. You find a lot of sculpture that is based on prints. I mean, the cross-fertilization between the arts is probably more apparent in art fairs than anywhere else. And sometimes they're bizarre. Sometimes they're very bizarre, but that's good to see, because from the point of view of an historian, it's fascinating to see what filters down, what makes it through the art magazines, what makes it through the consciousness of people who are making these things. What do they think is contemporary? What do they think is really good art?
But it does combine things that you usually would find similar. Such as an umbrella that looks like a tree, such as a chair that usually you sit on.
It has a lot to do with transients, you know, moving around. I started out doing the backpack pieces and then moved on doing the smaller pieces when I got more settled. They have to do with just the opposite, with permanence rather than transience.
That one has to do with going to pick a dog of the pound. You spin the wheel and see who gets picked and who doesn't, you know. But they are, yeah, cartoony, and I try and get messages across, kind of like serious cartoons kind of thing. There was a kid that really treated his dogs really shabby and awful. So I decided, in my painting anyway, I can get back at the kid, and that's the kid. So I got back at the kid, and they're eating his heart out. That's the name of the painting. So I figure they got the revenge, and so forever the kid will be up there.
And I suffer from a medieval disease called horror vacui, which is the fear of open spaces, you know. So I have to fill everything up. I put dots on everything. I can't see it unless it's overly decorated. And a lot of times people will be standing next to me and don't know it's my work, and they'll say, "This work is just awful." And I'll turn around and I'll say, "Thank you, I know." You know, but I like the kind of ceramics that you get at Woolworths. I love Florida souvenirs.
Well, I consider my work like a surrealistic kind of work. They're kind of, I love animals, and so people are kind of animals and people at the same time, and the animals take on a people look too. And I do a lot of my work at night, and perhaps that's why they're dark. A lot of my favorite artists, like people like Rembrandt and Francis Bacon, there's sort of surrealistic quality to their work, dark, dream, like ghoulish imagery. And I don't know, I just like doing it.
Most of these artists have yet to be discovered, but they keep showing.
Might do 8 of these outdoor shows and then about 3 gallery shows, and this one other museum show will take up a whole year of your time. When the weather cooperates and the people come out, I really enjoy the shows. I like to keep them down to not too many, but I don't think I ever want to completely quit.
I do much better in the galleries. One of my best galleries is in Lahaina, Maui, believe it or not. Another one is in Chicago. And I have a one-man show opening next weekend in Chicago. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add about 2 or 3 more galleries to the list, and then cut out the art fairs. I'm just getting too old for them, you know. Let's face it, 12, 13 years of running around like this is just, it's enough.
I kind of try you got to try everything, all the markets, and some of these pieces go to galleries, and I do every art show I can apply to, and the more you try, the more you have a chance of either winning prize money or getting somebody interested, or somebody that owns a gallery might walk by and want the pieces in a gallery.
The gallery systems become very conventional after a point. I mean, there's some galleries that show, if you just take crafts, that show very high quality work, but it's very hard for people who are beginning or who work on their own, who don't have degrees. But I'll bet you that if we went through, there'd be many people here a high percentage of people who don't have MFA degrees. And the MFA degree has become more or less like entry papers into the art world. And that's not always the best thing. So that I think it's an opportunity for people who are not members of the club to show their work in a situation that gives them some dignity.
You can do this full time, and you can sell in the street or you can sell in a gallery. I mean, it's all the same, but you do get looked down upon a lot of times. And a lot of people do think it's a step up. I mean, you do the sidewalk art shows and then you go up to galleries. But I don't think so. I try to do both.
A gallery showing and exposure to critics can be important to an artist's success. But at an art fair, there's no shortage of criticism.
Oh, that's all. How do you get the holes? Termites.
I don't know what it's supposed to represent. I don't even care that the ones got in.
Criticism is just part of the life of these artists.
I mean, being an artist is a lifestyle. And there are a lot of people, I think, who choose the lifestyle who don't really have the commitment to what it takes to be great artists. And by that, I mean there's a terrific amount of self-denial. You have to have I think, the patience of Job. You can't hope for instant success. You really have to keep plugging away.
We make a nice living. I wouldn't say we were rich. It's a struggle, and there are lean times, but it's been getting really better in the last several years. Don't let Governor Graham know that. But no, it's you give up a lot of things, but then you get a lot of other things in return. And I suppose it's like a theatrical career. You know, if you make it big. Maybe that's around the corner. I don't know. I hope so.
The hardest time is like when you're working, for me anyway, when you're working in a studio and you're alone, and that's like 50, 60 hours a week, you know, and you have to really stay up about your work right then, you know, it's because there's no one there to say, yeah, that looks great, you know, or that doesn't look so great.
I have abstract paintings, oils. I started painting actually late in life. I painted when I was a child, and then I went away to college and studied psychology for 7 years and practiced that for a while, and then took up painting again, and then started doing the shows and really liked the life, you know, so that's my background. Mostly self-taught in the arts.
Unlike what everybody thinks, we don't eat wine and drink wine and eat cheese every hour. We get up like around 6:30 in the morning and go out to our studios and work until lunch, and then we stay in the studios until around 8 at night, and we work all day, no weekends. This is our weekend when we come to a show.
See, that's the nice part of this whole thing, is that I can decide on Monday what I'm going to do on Monday. And I work hard. I work an 80-hour week, but I enjoy it. It's just weekends like this. I'm just getting too old for weekends like this. I don't want to be that negative. The young people can really handle it. I just had enough.
The artists hope that the show will pay them back for weeks and months of effort. They look for either sales or prizes.
Well, I found some pretty amazing things already. We had one young lady back there. We asked her to bring her entire display to the building later this afternoon. Well, she has lots of small pieces, and there wasn't one piece there that I didn't think was worth looking at again.
But when he picked the whole thing, I said, "What are you, nuts?" You know? And he started laughing, and I said, "Are you sure?" You know? But you know, I was real thrilled. I hope that I get something after I pack the whole thing up and take it over there. I think this having to take my whole display over is probably the craziest thing. Really, at this moment, is the craziest thing that ever happened. I think the best thing, though, is when someone comes up and says, there's somebody who's doing work exactly like yours, but in a different medium. He's copying you. Really? He's from Tallahassee. Do you know him? Is he a friend of yours? No, he's my husband. No friend, he's my husband. Yeah, we've been together for about 8 years now. And you can't escape the influences, you know. And we met in college, and we couldn't believe it. We said, oh my God, there's another Looney Tune, you know, there's someone else doing something crazy. So we got together, and we were pretty much of a dynamic duo when we were in school, and now I think we're the gruesome twosome.
If the judges select a piece for the final judging, the artist brings it here. Saturday evening, the judges and the committee will work late into the night.
Well, I think it's very hard to put your work of any kind up to be judged. You have to respect anyone who, first of all, who makes it. I mean, here we are, we're making distinctions between things we think are pretty good and some things we thought were not so good. But on the whole, you really do respect anybody who makes art of any level. I mean, it's hard to do it, and it's hard to put it up for this kind of decision-making. You know, you're in or you're out.
The judges are something the artist learns to live with.
I can take him or leave him. I won Best of Show last week, and I was very pleased. I mean, it's always nice to be the one who wins the prize. And the judge in that case was a ceramic artist himself, which made me doubly happy, you know.
And the judges are looking for things that have abstract quality, things that have a certain amount of shock value, that are, you know, unique, that stand out. Whereas I paint mine to hang easily on someone's wall, so, you know, something they can live with for a long period of time. And so it's just the opposite of what they're looking for.
The fact that the people that are going to be judging and looking at your work are professionals. They have a certain amount of visual literacy, you know, and that's important for me, you know, to have people see my work and get their feedback on it, you know, to see if it has the value that I put on it in their eyes.
If the weather's nice tomorrow, I have a special dress that I will accept my award in. It's my award dress.
Whether Judy wins anything depends on judges John Neff and Richard Stearns, curator of the Walker Art Center in Minneapolis.
There seems to be such a broad view or broad selection or a wide style. There's so many different attitudes or different media involved. We're trying to find the best of what here in this show is representative. I think we have a fairly reasonable representation of attitudes that are going on in the broad commercial market, as well as in the art fair market, as well as in the amateur market.
On Sunday morning, the finalists come to pick up their work and to find out how they did. Patricia Way finds out she received Best of Show.
How do you feel about winning the first prize?
I'm freaked out. I'm just so embarrassed. Oh, I'm so nervous. Oh, thank you. My heart's like going.
What are you going to do to celebrate?
Buy some more etching plates.
I won Award of Distinction. Isn't that wonderful?
I got a yellow ribbon. I don't know what that is. $2.50? Holy cow.
We have a whole waffle between the two of us, and we were thinking one year for Christmas, you know, everybody sends out pictures of themselves for Christmas. We're going to get naked and put the ribbons all over us.
Not all, but many of the great American artists have essentially been outsiders. And I don't mean in the sense of naive or primitive painters, but people who were very strong individualists and felt they had to go their own way. And that wasn't always what the art world was looking for. It wasn't always easiest for the dealer to sell. And there aren't any rules, and that's the great thing about art. It just reminds you that there are all kinds of ways to fit into a situation and new ways of looking at things. And by coming to art fairs, you think you've seen a lot, and then you always find something here you haven't seen before. So it keeps you fresh.
Once the judging is over, the artists concentrate on selling.
Oh, now that would be cute.
It's, like I said, it's a brand new toy for us, and it's made out of cherry and walnut, and the egg is soft maple.
Oh. Okay, I like this
You
duck.
like that one?
I'll take the duck and the rattle.
My partner was a woodworker, and he and his wife went back to the land about 8 years ago, found a little farm in Arkansas, and he was doing cabinet work, and she just began messing around in the shop while he was working and started making toys. And she created some, you should see their work of 8 years ago. It's really funny, real rudimentary toys. And Jeffrey, my best friend, added his touch as a woodworker, and together they began developing a line of toys, just a few at a time, and started doing craft shows. And now they do craft shows all over the country, and there's 5 of us that work with them, and that's become quite a little enterprise.
You never know who you're going to sell to and who you're not going to sell to. One day this guy comes by and with ragged jeans and bare feet, you know, and he's looking at the paintings, and I like to talk to everybody. I don't really care what they're dressed like because people are interesting to me, whether they buy or not. And but I was talking to him, and the next thing I know, he pulled out a wad of bills, and he bought 2 paintings, you know.
I had a lot of people come by and totally miss the message, But you can't jump on them, you know, you can't jump on it. You try to explain it to them, and sometimes they still don't see it. You know, people have a tendency to see what they want to see, but I paint for me, you know, so I'm satisfied when I paint, and I put the message on there. And you'd be surprised, little kids a lot of times see more than their parents. It's adults kind of like see what they want to see. Kids are a little more realistic.
So it's been a real neat experience, but the best experience has been meeting all the neat artists here. You know, that's been real good for me, to have sharing ideas and stuff, because you get kind of lonely in your studio, because I spend so much time there, that it's neat to just be out here free and space around and meet people and have a good time and see other artists and other ideas and stuff.
But I get so many people stopping, and they want to know how I do it so they can go home and try it, you know, and you can only take so much of that, and then you get, you know, the ultimate compliment is when somebody buys something.
Artwork is the ultimate luxury. You know, you're really asking a lot to make a living at it. So you have to just keep doing art shows and going gallery openings, writing letters, just keep your eyes and ears open. It still seems frivolous at times, you know, because it is such an unusual thing to do for a living. I mean, I've built boats, I worked as a commercial artist, been a sign painter. All those things you know for sure that you're going to make money at. You know, you're going to get a weekly salary, pay the bills, that sort of thing. But, you know, I do what's necessary.
This is my accepting dress. I bought this. Isn't this lovely? Don't you think it's très chic? I do. Some lady from Massachusetts made it. So I went right out and spent a portion of my money. But I'm packing up now, so it's goodbye out there in TV land. So long, folks.